What's good, my people? Black people, what are we doing? We need to start changing the conversation that we having. We can't agree on nothing and we don't look good as a unit. But it's time we start changing that, right? Today is Juneteenth, a holiday that we can't even agree on because we don't really agree on too much of anything. Not just as Americans, but anywhere in the world. We just don't agree on things that we kind of should agree on. So I think we need to start changing the conversations that we're having, and maybe we can get to the point we can start having an understanding and start moving forward, right? Let's take everybody else out of our conversation. Let's not talk about white people, Asian people, nobody. And let's just focus on us for a little while. Let's start asking the questions, what are we doing? Who are we? If we're gonna do something, why are we doing it? If we're gonna try to get something done, how are we gonna get it done? What can we do without anybody else's help so that we can move appropriately, right? What is our culture and traditions telling us to do, right? Our generations are not right yet, right? Our older generation, they stuck in their ways. Our middle-aged generation stuck in their ways. Our younger generation stuck in their ways, and none of us are working together. We ridicule the older generation for being old when technically they won the game because they made it. They made it to being old, which should be the goal of life, is to grow up and grow old and hopefully have some success. But we don't prioritize that. So what do we prioritize, right? We need to get back to loving each other. We need to get back to calling each other brother and sister, being able to speak to each other when we out, being able to have an event where there's no fighting, shooting, none of that, where we can just love on each other, have a good time, and go home and enjoy our families. So again, what are we doing? And if we're doing it, why are we doing it? These are the questions we need to ask. I know there's a whole conversation we need to have about white people, especially in this country. Whole conversation, I get that. But we can't have that conversation if our house ain't clean, right? That means that people only gonna treat you the way you treat you. So if we treat each other like trash, guess how everybody else gonna treat us? What are we doing? I'm gonna keep asking this question. So now when you get in these comments and you replying to me and we make it, granted, I get that we crack jokes, right? We've cracked jokes to cover our pain for a long time. But at this point, the jokes ain't funny no more. Like the jokes come out like sounding like straight hate. All we do is hate on each other, like actually hate on each other. Like I'm cool with the joking and the playing, like I'm a smart ass too. But at some point, we gotta stop the joking and have a serious conversation because people are just running over us, right? The Republicans want us to do certain things. We got black people trying to tell us to go be Republican and go join forces with the same side that want to see us in chains. But then we got another side that's like, hey, go be Democrat, and that's the side that's not really doing anything for us. So how do we make people earn our vote? How? Democrats know we have to vote Democrat because we can't vote Republican. That's a whole nother conversation that I would love to have. But we need to focus on what are we doing? How do we clean our house? How do we keep our streets safe? How do we keep each other safe? How do we fight the judicial system that's always been negative towards us? How do we combat police brutality? Like all the things that affect us, and we don't really care about what everybody else is saying because what other groups are saying, it doesn't really matter because it doesn't affect them. There's no incentive for them to help us and they don't understand because it doesn't affect them. So the things that affect us, how are we gonna fix them? And that only comes from us. Nobody can do that for us. So now, let's have a conversation. Hit me with the comments. I'm gonna respond. I think my opinions are a little bit different than what a lot of people are saying right now. I wanna focus on us. Black love, Juneteenth, this is a real thing for me. We gotta agree on something at some point. Otherwise, we're just gonna stay stuck on the same hamster wheel we've been on for the last 60 years. We lost our common enemy, right? Prior to the 1964 Civil Rights Movement, we had a common enemy. We knew who that enemy was. We integrated, common enemy went away. They started being racist to us on the under instead of out in the open. And then we just started being like, well, it's only affecting some black people and not me. At some point, it's gonna affect you too. Poor white people are learning that too. Racism affects them just as much as it affects us. So again, what are we gonna do to make sure we are moving forward so that the next 60 years don't look like the last 60 years, and definitely the next 400 years don't look like the last 400. That's what we need to start asking us. We need to start building for our generations. All right? Hit me in the comments. Let's have this conversation.